It's time for good energy, and I'm Dr. Julie, and welcome to Bodyful Day 256. We are talking about constipation and the senses, and today we're talking about the vestibular system. Now, just a random note: if you try to use the draw to, the drag your finger to come up with words, constipation does not come up on an iPhone. Constitution does, but not constipation. And in predictive word text on an iPhone, constipation also does not come up. So I needed to type in that word every single time by hand. Very annoying. So anyway, we're talking about the vestibular system today, and I hope that you are not having to deal with any constipation from yesterday, but maybe today's information will help you figure out how. All right, let's start with the basics. Take a deep breath in and release. On this next breath in, you're going to breathe in through the belly, inhale in, expand in through the chest, and expand in through the head. So really think about filling up each of these sections of your body with air: your belly, your chest, and your sinuses. Take a deep breath in and release. And because we're talking about constipation and the vestibular system, I want you to think about the last time you were on a roller coaster or you were on a ride, and remember what your bowels were up to after that. Take a deep breath in and release. So remember, our goal here, as always, is to try to use the healing equation, which is good energy to heal equals good energy and minus stressors, to work on little tasks with the senses. And this week we are working on how to be regular, how to reduce constipation by bringing good energy in and reducing your stressors. And that good energy and stressors are going to be from the vestibular system. The vestibular system is how you know where you are in relationship to gravity or in relationship to space. Primarily information comes from your semicircular canals in your ears, but we've already talked about this. It comes from your ankles, from your hips, from your neck, and from your jaw. You get additional information. Now, when we think about stressors, we've been talking about the link between constipation and your fight or flight and freeze responses, and whether or not bowels move or they stop due to stress. So remember, if your primary response to stress is freeze, your bowels are probably going to be the ones that you're going to have bowels that slow down. If your primary response is fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system says, let's drop everything so that you can do that efficiently. Now, those are the stressors. So when we think about vestibular stressors, if you are not fond of going upside down and doing corkscrews, if you're not fond of fair rides, then the presence of additional gravitational forces, additional G forces, and flipping upside down and going up and down fast is not going to cause your bowels to go. It may cause you to throw up, but things here are not going to move. So what do you do instead? How can you tap into that vestibular system to help move things along? And one of the cool things is that B.S.K. Iyengar, I read one of his seminal works, read the entire thing, and one of the things he talked about is that having a daily yoga practice, one of the things you should do is you should try to do yoga in the morning, because it's almost like greasing the joints, greasing the fascia, greasing the muscles so that they move correctly. But he does point out that you don't want to do yoga when you are constipated. You want to make sure that you've had your daily constitutional before you start doing yoga. And he says one of the ways that you can do that, one of the ways you can encourage that, is through inversions. Now, from those of us who have yoga experience, we know that inversions aren't just headstands, handstands, shoulder stands, but those are valuable. If you are good at that type of thing, then doing inversions is going to help. The reason why is a lot of times our constipation gets stuck up here in the upper parts of our intestines. These are called the flexures. And what inversions do is inversions help move things out of the flexors, help kind of shake things out of those flexors, even though you'd think if you were upside down, it would get stuck. But having things come into there and then you righting yourself actually helps move things along. Now, for those of you who are thinking shoulder stands, headstands, and handstands are not in my repertoire, you don't have to worry. Sometimes inversions can be really minimal. So the classic pose, yoga pose of legs up on the wall is actually considered an inversion. So literally just lying up against a wall and putting your legs up will help change the nervous system, so it will encourage you to have a bowel movement. And if you put a bolster, a very small round roll of either pillows or blankets, you can put an extra base that gets your hips a little bit higher, you are doing an even more intense, but not totally intense inversion that would actually encourage the system to empty itself out. So we can use the vestibular system, we can tap into our sense of where we are in space, being upright versus upside down, and that will actually provide good energy in, which then will help you be regular. So if you're looking at ways to tap into your vestibular system, inversions or legs up on the wall with a little bit of a bolster or a shelf made out of blankets is going to be very helpful. It relaxes the nervous system. Being upside down, being in an inversion, as long as you don't have any issues with your cranials or your spinal cord, being in an inversion is calming because you're getting the flow of blood from the furthest, from the lowest, or from all the way down in your legs, it's flowing right back into your system. So those are things to think about in terms of constipation and the senses. And that is how you can increase your regularity if you're looking for little simple fixes through the vestibular sense. All right, so we've got 2 more senses to go. I'm trying to figure out which ones we have left. I think we have the sense of smell. Yep, the sense of smell and the sense of touch. And those 2 are going to come into play. We'll talk about those this weekend. So meet you back here tomorrow. Let's take a deep breath in and release. And have a great evening. I'll see you later.